Killing all the scavengers.
Oh, really?
Well, that was 2 meetings ago. Let's see what they have to say this time.
Are you concerned about the scallops yourself?
Everybody is.
Yeah. But they...
Or they wouldn't be here.
So you think that it might be because of scavengers that...
Oh, no. That's not it.
That's not it, is it?
No.
What do you think it is then?
I don't know.
It's been decided one way or the other. Myself and David, Carl Sherlin, had a meeting with the selectmen a couple of weeks ago to talk about this whole management plan that we're working on, which involves a variety of issues, least of which is the closure of the fishery. At that time, while talking with the selectmen said, well, is it possible we're going to want to close down the season early this year? And we said, well, that is a possibility. It's one of the possibilities listed, but we're not sure of anything right now. So they said, well, there's a 3-week waiting period to have a public notice, and so we might as well put the notice in the paper that we're going to have the public hearing and get that out of the way, so that if we want to do anything in late December or January, we'll be able to do it. We won't have to wait for another 21 days for the public hearing to do it. So we said fine, and we went on to other business. So they filed the notice of the public hearing for December 18th, at which time everybody will be invited, and everybody will be able to have their say. It's going to be held in the LGI up at the high school, so that there'll be plenty of room for everyone. And at that time, we're going to discuss whether or not there should be a closure.
My name is Rob Garrison. I'm the director of Harbor Life. We're here at the 96marinelab where we've been operating a shellfish hatchery for the last 4 or 5 years. We're concerned about the decline in the scallop population during the last few years, and our efforts are focused on trying to understand what the reason for this is. Our water quality monitoring program studies about 12 sites all around the island. Throughout the year we monitor for certain water parameters, trying to figure out and gain more information on what is happening to the system here. Our main mission has been to work towards enhancing the scallop fishery.
My name's Blair Perkins. I've been scalloping off and on for about 15 years or so. It's pretty scarce this year. There's some discussion as to the possibility of overfishing. I personally don't think that's really the case. I think it's been a well-managed fishery, so I think we have to lean towards other problems. I think as far as aquaculture and the aqua farm that we have on Nantucket here is a very good thing to help the populations increase. Certainly growing seed and growing scallops and planting them out on the scallop beds is probably a very good thing.
I personally think that one of our major problems on Nantucket is just the increase in population. If you look at the bay scallop populations around the rest of Massachusetts, or Long Island Sound, areas that used to have good commercial bay scallop populations that have now declined to 0, that decline coincided with an increase in population in those areas. We're seeing an increase in population on Nantucket. We're also seeing a decline in the scallop populations. I think we need to work to ways where we can deal with this population increase without it affecting our marine ecosystem the way it has in other areas. And we're fortunate to be an island where we can control that.
Yeah, why don't you go in and...
Okay. So what are you doing here, Scott?
I'm just prepping a few jugs to grow some algae. This is seawater that's been slightly chlorinated to take out any bacteria. I'm basically trying to make it into pure seawater, and then I'm going to add some nutrients to this, take out the chlorine with another chemical, and inoculate some algae into them, bubble them, set them up under the lights, and within a week or so they'll grow at a normal density.
Okay.
That's what's,
What are these brown ones over here, Scott? What are these?
Okay, well,
Why are they brown?
we grow 6 different species, and some of the colors related to the species. Some of them look kind of similar, like these are both brown, but they're 2 different species.
Yeah.
The green is a green algae, these are flagellates, and we just grow different species because as the shellfish go through their life cycle, they like to eat different kinds of algae. Also, some of the colors related to the density of cells, and here the more cells, the darker the color.
I see. The darker the color, the more cells.
Right.
Okay. And what do we have here, Rob?
In here is the actual shellfish hatchery. And I'll explain to you real quick how we grow the animals here. We'll bring in adult scallops and induce them to spawn by raising the temperature of the water about 10 degrees within an hour. And they release their gametes then, and the eggs are fertilized and overnight turn into microscopic free-swimming larvae that are then placed in these tanks of water. We filter the water down to about 1 micron, keep the water temperature up about 75, 78 degrees, summertime temperatures, to get optimum growth. Feed them the algae that you saw Scott growing. And after about 10 to 12 days, the scallops are ready to metamorphose into their adult form. When they're ready to do that, we'll place them into these bins here that have a real fine mesh on the bottom, and the scallops will sink down to the bottom, crawl around on that mesh, and lose their ability to swim and change into their adult form. We'll continue feeding them the algae until they're about 1 millimeter in size, and then acclimate them to just raw seawater and put them in nursery tanks or systems that are outside, where we use just the seawater from the harbor. Well, we're looking at scallop seed that was produced in the hatchery, and when it was smaller than a pencil point, it went out to cages or what we call pearl nets, different grow-out systems to grow in the harbor. These scallops are some of the last batch. We have about 300,000 or 400,000 left that we're working with the town to survey an area that doesn't have a lot of scallops this year and release the last few 100,000 there, close the area off and be able to monitor it so we can get an idea of how well these seed that we're releasing are doing and try to learn more about what happens to them.
And who's this gentleman?
This is Frank Dutra.
Hi, Frank.
He's in charge of the aquaculture program, so he spends all his days growing and taking care of the little scallop seeds here.
My babies.
These are your babies.
Our vision for the future on Nantucket mostly centers around our water here. Everything we do, we're hoping to be able to protect and even improve, if possible, our water quality. First and foremost, to enhance our shellfish populations. I think it's really important that the island focus on the importance of an industry, a shellfishing industry that is not dependent on development and building houses or even tourism. It's something that's a stable, sustainable industry that can last for years and years if we take care of it. We hope to not only be able to stabilize the scallop fishery, but we'd like to increase other fisheries too. Quahogs used to be a much larger fishery on Nantucket than they are now, and we're hoping through our enhancement programs we can increase the quahog population and allow more people to earn an income and a living off of fishing for quahogs. Oysters could be brought back to Sacajah Pond, and a good, stable population could be fished out of there also. Included with that, we also want to focus a lot on education. We work with our local schools here. We'd like to see the community learn more about why our water is so important and how land use and other uses increase boating activity. As an example, we probably have 3 to 4 times the number of boats out there every summer than we used to. Every outboard leaks a little bit of fuel into the water. We found in our scallop larvae tanks here, only a few drops of gasoline in the tank will kill 20 million scallop larvae. And that's when those larvae are out there in the summer, is when all that boat traffic's out there. So we need to look at ways to deal with this issue of increased population. We're a private nonprofit organization that is looking for support from all different areas, private organizations, governmental support, anywhere we can get it, really. We're dedicated to continuing our work here and would like to get more people involved.